If it's grown on a tree, that's kind of what you want. And you just make a tea out of it, or you can literally eat it. I've been making, we had the most amazing trip. We took 15 literal superhero raw foodists down to the Grand Canyon, Havasupai Canyon, a couple weeks ago. We went foraging for food, found a giant mushroom growing out of a tree, like a truffle, kind of like that consistency. Took the whole, me and my friend Matt Amsden, literally peeled that whole sucker right off, like that much of a mushroom. Took it back to the camp, diced the thing up, diced it with celery, garlic, olive oil, lemon juice, mixed the whole thing with avocado. Next thing you know, we had that going into a wrap, and we fed all 15 people on one mushroom. And you're full. You're like, whoa, it's all good. Covered. Isn't that good? And being able to learn the value of wild foods is also something that kind of comes in naturally with the whole approach of raw foodism, superfoodism, chocolatiering, and herbalism.
What about psilocybin mushrooms?
Psilocybin mushrooms. Sounds like you like to have a good time. But based on the questions you've been asking, I took a lot of psilocybin mushrooms when I was like 17, 18, 19, and then I kind of, it's good medicine. And if you've never taken them, you need to take them, but take them in the right environment. A friend of mine, this is amazing. Let me tell you a story about psilocybin mushrooms. A friend of mine, I met him. In case you don't know what those mushrooms are, those are magic mushrooms. And by the way, those are completely different from what I'm talking about here with medicinal mushrooms. Just so everybody knows. Because some people, they leave the lecture and he's promoting magic mushrooms now. Medicinal mushrooms is all medicine, basically immune system medicine. And in this kind of environment here, you need more of what? Immune system medicine, that's for sure. But a friend of mine was a really hardcore, hard-ass businessman for his whole life. Raised his kids in a really strict way, was really kind of a jerk. And then what happened was, sometime in his late 40s, somebody gave him some magic mushrooms, and he took them. Now, he'd never done anything like that before. In fact, he'd been drug-free, except for alcohol, of course, which isn't a drug, and tobacco, of course, which isn't a drug. And red meat and all that, whatever. But actually, he'd gotten off the meat thing. He'd been gradually going that way towards a more conscious route. It so transformed him that he literally became a barefoot hippie. Literally. And is now putting all his money into environmentally friendly projects. And literally the first thing he told me about the whole experience is he said, I felt like I needed to call my mom and have her try them.
Well, that's why drugs are illegal.
That's why they're illegal.
Funding.
Anything that makes you more conscious has to be illegal. That's the whole point. That's why actually everything is illegal. Right? So they can arrest you for everything in a free country. Where we put more people in jail than anywhere. But it's free.
Probably on their list.
Is it safe to eat non-organic mushrooms?
Is it safe to eat non-organic mushrooms? And the answer is probably not. I wouldn't really recommend, by the way, portobello mushrooms and things like that you find in a store, because they're usually dirty and you may not see that. Or they could be moldy and you may not see it. That's why I'm really into techno-medicinal mushrooms, because they're completely clean, microbe-free, and like reishi mushroom, for example. Is that good or bad for candida? Good. It's the best thing for candida. As you start looking at the medicinal mushrooms, you'll find they're the most powerful medicine. Over long periods of use, years of being on the medicinal mushrooms, your whole immune system goes through a complete metamorphosis. I'm going to repeat that again, and I want you to take a good heart on that one, because that's a promise I can make to you. And it is true. You can look at the Chinese medicinal history of them. You can look at the American medicinal history of mushrooms. Here's what you're going to find out. Over a long period of use of medicinal mushrooms, your immune system goes through a metamorphosis. And essentially, you no longer become susceptible to anything. I do believe that medicinal mushrooms are one of the key pieces to creating a diet and lifestyle for yourself where you are never sick under any circumstances for any reason. So for me personally, it's impossible for me to get sick ever. It's impossible for me to get a sniffle, a cold, a flu, a cough, anything. Ever again. Now people are like, what? Huh? Ever. Under any circumstances. Look, I've been in the planes with the guy next to me is coming, he's into my seat.
But isn't it normal to get
You know,
sick?
like literally there's a virus factor. Oh, you know, and then, you know, why do you think I wear these things? Like this? Is it normal and natural to get sick? No, it's not normal and it's not natural. And it's basically, the reason why we get sick is because of a product of a bad theory. A real bad theory. In fact, it's so bad that we're literally dealing with an epidemic of hypoglycemia. Over 40 million Americans are so mineral deficient that every 2 hours they need to be shoving something in their mouth because they're just going crazy. Can't stay balanced. What is that they need? Is it the protein they need? It's the minerals that they need. And generally in a store, you go to a normal like grocery store, by the way, 85% of a normal grocery store is genetically modified corn. 85%. So all the products, right? All the meat is GMO-fed meat. All the packaging, all the high fructose corn syrup is all GMO corn. That's mostly what a store is. And then you get this little thing over here, glow in the dark, kind of like GMO apples and whatever else those are. That's not food. Isn't that a trip? Best time ever to be alive. Because with the bad comes the good. The worse it gets, the better it gets. The faster it gets worse, the faster it gets better. It's all happening simultaneously. Has anybody noticed that? It's all happening simultaneously. We live in that kind of world. So the number one medicinal mushrooms that's the number one category of herbs.
You want this today?
Number two, in my opinion, on the whole planet. I'm a little bit biased. Ginseng. I'm a ginseng hunter. It's so fun. I mean, I had no idea that this was going to be my destiny, actually. I'm a wild herb hunter. You're in upstate New York, right? Herb hunting, there might be 10 people out there. You get up to Canada, there's nobody. There's an entire bush, thousands of miles of forest, nobody there. There's so many herbs, mushrooms, everything. I mean, there's $1 billion waiting to be made up there for someone who's clever. It's unbelievable. You go to China and you start walking the mountains, there's 10,000 herb hunters out there. They already beat you to it. They got you beat by a mile. This is the kind of world we live in. With the abundance we live in. You get out right now, we're outside in New York, there's reishi mushrooms growing on every forest. And you can have them for free. How much does it cost? Free. Right? You want to get off paying Bob for bottled water? There's plenty of springs an hour outside of New York. Get your bottle out there and get underneath that. Come home with five-gallon buckets full, and you are rocking and rolling for a month or two. Fresh spring water.
Can we talk about water for a second?
I'm sure we could, but let's get through herbs first. Okay. Ginseng berries. Let's talk about the pharmacopoeia up here. The most powerful ginseng in the world grows in upstate New York. The most powerful reishi mushroom in the world grows in upstate New York. Not in China. Not in China. Here. Surprise, surprise. There are some great things in Chinese medicine. I'm a real big fan of schizandra berries. Anybody ever heard of schizandra berries? These make it into the top 10 herbs in the world. They're really powerful. As a world traveler, I carry a little container like this. Here's what's in my container. You want to hear? Cacao beans, goji berries, cacao butter, little slices of cacao butter, right? Vanilla beans wrapped around the outside, little bit of schizandra berries, because you eat one little schizandra berry, you're like, whoa, oh my God.
How do you spell that?
It's spelled differently. Schizandra is one spelling. You'll find it. If you Google that, you'll find it. Schizandra berries are top. That's one of the great herbs in the world.
So what's in your thing again?
So that's what's in there. So check it out.
What is it again?
Okay. Sometimes I'll throw some nuts in there, but it's cacao, goji berries, cacao butter.
Mixed in?
Yeah, all together. Yeah. Vanilla beans wrapped around in schizandra berries, and sometimes I'll throw nuts in there. And so if I'm stuck without food, I just got that. Now I got stuck at customs one time going into Canada. And they're like, what's all this chocolate you have on you? You know, because I was like carrying a lot of chocolate. Probably more than is legal, because everything's illegal anyway. So then they're like, go that way. So I had to go down some hall, right? And I'm like, oh shit, this is the worst ever. So then I get to the customs person, right?